Meet an infantry soldier's best friend, the assault rifle. It's lightweight, easy to load, and rapid fires like nobody's business. No assault rifle is as feared as this one. It's the Russian AK-47, and it has the highest body count of any firearm in history. The AK revolutionized the world. Since its explosive Cold War debut, the rest of the world has attempted to match and surpass it. Now we're pitting the AK against the best rifles of the West. Go! In a series of head-to-head tests to determine today's ultimate combat weapon. This is the assault rifle. Nothing has shaped history more than the gun. I'm Will Willis, former Army Ranger and Air Force pararescueman. I've trained with modern weapons until firing them is second nature. Now, I'm out to master the greatest military firearms of all time. And see how these weapons change the world. No firearm is more feared and misunderstood than the assault rifle. It's the primary weapon carried by most soldiers today. Effective in almost any environment, from desert expanses to urban combat zones. The effectiveness of the assault rifle was demonstrated once again in SEAL Team 6's mission to hunt down the world's most wanted terrorist, Osama bin Laden. A decade after the September 11th attacks, coalition forces tracked bin Laden to a secret compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. On May 1st, 2011, two teams of elite Navy SEALs armed with assault rifles infiltrate the hideout. Bin Laden's courier leaves his guest house armed with an AK-47. At the same time, the 2nd SEAL team places charges on the main building. Inside, they sweep the house. One of bin Laden's sons confronts them. The SEALs quickly move toward a door on the top floor of the house. Inside, bin Laden, a daughter and one of his many wives. 2 precision shots. And the mission is complete. The SEAL's weapon of choice was reported to be the Heckler & Koch 416, a high-tech, modern-day version of a classic weapon that dates back nearly 70 years, the assault rifle. But even a weapon as high-speed and modern as this one got its inspiration from a forerunner. And when it comes to assault rifles, none casts a longer shadow than the AK-47. The AK-47 is the world's most recognizable assault rifle. It's rugged and easy to use. Armies and rebel forces have been using it for the last 60 years. And it's said that so many countries manufacture it that there are nearly 100 million in circulation today. Osama bin Laden himself carried the AK. And it's the main weapon for Taliban and Al-Qaeda forces in Afghanistan. In 2001, when coalition forces first hunted bin Laden, they chased Al-Qaeda fighters into an underground network of twisting caves and tunnels. In blistering firefights between 2 classes of assault rifles, the 60-year-old AK-47 still proves deadly. Even though they have a wide range of assault rifles to choose from, going hot, AK-47 users are sticking to their guns, and I want to see why. It's made out of stamped steel, wood, makes it heavy, about 12 pounds, which is about the same weight as the M1. Fires a 7.62 round, larger caliber round, a lot more knockdown power, similar muzzle velocity to an M4. Other than the weight, I really like it. To find out more about the AK, I'm meeting with Dmitry Marinov, who served in the Bulgarian army during the Cold War.
What I like about AK-47 is the simplicity. It's the easiest weapon to maintain, the weapon that will always shoot no matter what.
Now, you were part of an intel unit in the Bulgarian army when it was still under the Soviet military regime.
Yes, I was drafted when I was 18 years old. During the Soviet era, it was mandatory. In fact, I failed to show on my report date. So they came the very next morning into my house, handcuffed me, and packed me off.
They weren't messing around.
No.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the origins of the AK-47?
Yes, believe it or not, Mikhel Kalashnikov, he was a Red Army soldier, but he was never trained to build weapons. He was, in fact, tank mechanic. And he started drafting and sketching some ideas for new assault rifle during the recovery of a heavy wounds which he received during a fight with the Germans in 1941.
Now, he had actually seen weapons fail in combat conditions and during the rough Russian winters. So he knew that there was a need for a weapon that was simple, rugged, and reliable.
Absolutely correct. When you pull the trigger on the AK, the hammer slams against the firing pin and detonates the round in the chamber. Firing off the round creates gas in the barrel that shoves a piston backwards. The piston nudges the bolt carrier to the rear. That's what kicks the used shell casing out of the rifle and loads a fresh round in the chamber.
One of the keys to the AK's ruggedness is that it has only 8 parts.
That's correct. Let me show you. Полнитель,
Magazine,
предпазник,
dust cover,
отбивна пружина.
recoil spring,
You have 2 parts here. Buoyant cylinder,
bolt carrier,
отбой,
bolt,
газова камера,
gas tube,
and finally, шомпол.
cleaning rod, lower receiver. It's made of wood and steel, and all assembled, it's pretty heavy at 12 pounds.
Even so, delivers pretty deadly punch, although it's not the most accurate assault rifle.
Well, I'm excited to see what it can do. To put the AK to the test, Demeter and I will race to assemble its 8 parts, then see how well it takes out a few choice targets. So, Demeter, what's the maximum effective range of this weapon?
Would be about 350 to 400 meters.
Okay. Well, we've got some targets over here at about 60 meters away. Should be no problem.
Not at all.
All right, you
Are
ready
you ready,
to do
Will?
this?
Let's put it together.
The AK-47 is a proven killer, but this test will demonstrate the horrific ballistic effect of its .762 round, which tumbles on impact. If you think of the clay as soft tissue, the water is blood, and the cinder block is bone, you can imagine how much damage the AK-47 can do. Clear, clear. Check it out.
That was a good one.
I guess total mayhem and destruction is kind of what you want to see with this weapon system.
That's what it is. The power of AK-47. That's what it can do.
Nice.
Here,
Yeah. You got the small entrance on here. This clay expands, larger exit on the backside, and then, the cinder block is nothing, which is what you would expect to see from that .762 round.
it's a great weapon with great power, but when it comes to precision, you need a good training for that baby.
When the AK was introduced in 1947, other armies were still using semi-automatic rifles. For the U.S. Army, the standard issue weapon was the M1 Garand, known as the rifle that won World War II. Now, the M1 uses an 8-round clip and the AK a 30-round magazine. So if you're fighting in an urban environment, say from house to house, things are a little lopsided.
If you're using one-shot bolt-action rifle, even this semi-automatic, you are definitely disadvantaged.
But does the AK-47 really have an edge over the M1 when fighting in an urban combat zone? What do you say we take a look at the differences?
I'm way ahead of you, Will. What I've done for you, Will, right now, I set up 4 stations, zigzag course. 100, 75, 50, and 25 yards. All you have to do, run as fast as you can to each station and hit the corresponding target. How's that sound?
Sounds great. I'm excited to see how you were trained to do it. You're gonna use the klassinokove. I'm gonna be timing you, so now you're under the gun, and then I'm gonna follow you using the M1 Grand.
Sounds great.
All right, it's on. Time to see how these two game changers compare. Demeter, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Ready, set, go. All right, here we go. Moving up to the first obstacle, tippy toe. There we go, first round's on. Moving out to the second target, through the car door. Not very accurate. Oh, there we go. Now he's pinging him. Look at him go. He's moving. Able to get really close to those barriers. One of the benefits of that shorter weapon system. From the knees. He's really starting to ping away now. Moving up to the wall. Right against the wall. More rounds on target. He's not moving very steady, but he's spitting out rounds. Looks like 47 seconds to complete the entire course. Most of the rounds on target. Good job. Okay, what do you got over there?
Well, I got 1 and 2 on peripheral.
All right, and on the 75-meter target, we've got 1, 2, 3 rounds on target there. And then over here on the 50, I think you only fired 3 rounds, and all 3 rounds are on target.
That's right.
By the time you reached the 25-yard mark, I think the adrenaline rush and getting winded got the better of you.
My whole air was out, my body was shaking, and here we go. That's the result.
Yeah, and that's why we have these rounds high up here.
Yeah.
Whenever you get winded, you got to control that breathing. It changes the elevation of your round strike. So let's see how I do on this same test with the M1 Grand.
Can't wait to see that one.
Okay.
Let's go.
Discover the past with exclusive military history documentaries and ad-free podcasts presented by world-renowned historians, all on History Hit. Watch them on your smart TV or on the go with your mobile device. Download the app now to watch everything, from the gripping story of the Band of Brothers to Operation Barbarossa and D-Day. Immerse yourself in the dramatic stories of this remarkable era by signing up via the link in the description.
Will, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Go!
Safe, moving.
100, very good job, Will.
Safe, moving. Safe, moving.
50, that was a good one.
Malfunction. Come on, baby.
Great work, Will. 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Yeah, I had a little malfunction over there behind the wall. I had a failure to feed, so it slowed me up quite a bit. But I think I did okay, considering.
Well, let's see. What we get on the 100?
Well, from the 100, I got 4 rounds on target. These top 2 from the position at the 100.
Let's look at the 75. You have a great one right here.
The kneeling position is a really stable position. I had a great round center mass.
Great. And look at the 50.
What's missing here is that 4th round, and when I was on the move, I could have thrown that round left or right. This possibly, this high target was probably that.
That's right. And here is the 25, the closest range now.
Now, at the 25...
That's where you got the malfunction.
I shot 1 from the standing, had the malfunction, and then I peeked back out, got another round off. I changed magazines again.
That's right.
And then when I stood up to move, 1 round here, and I threw that round. All in all, a lot slower than your time, but I think as far as accuracy goes and engaging at distance, we've proven the M1 Garand is a better weapon, but for a close quarters battle type environment, the AK is the way to go. Of the estimated 500 million firearms around the world, 1 out of every 5 comes from the AK family. The AK-47 wasn't the first assault rifle around. The granddaddy of them all was actually a German-made weapon from World War II, the Sturmgewehr 44. To help me appreciate the original, I brought in German weapons historian Zan Sukor.
Sturmgewehr was the original assault rifle, and if you translate Sturm, that means to storm an enemy position. Gewehr is a rifle, so you have the storming rifle. And the way we translate that in English is assault rifle.
So Zan, is it true that this game-changing weapon almost died on the drawing board, and that to get it out to the troops, the weapons designers actually had to pull a fast one on Adolf Hitler himself?
That's completely true, actually. The Sturmgewehr 44 was originally developed in 1942, and it was designated the MKB 42. MKB standing for Maschinenkarabiner, which is German for machine carbine. That was actually on a list of weapons that Hitler had forbidden because they required the non-standard caliber cartridge. So what the designers did was they simply changed the name, and the original marking was MP for machine pistol, and that was on a list of weapons that could be developed. Then in 1943, Hitler was visiting his generals on the Eastern Front and asked them, what do you need in order to achieve victory in Russia? And one of the generals raised his voice and said, we need more of these new rifles. And of course, they had hidden the project from Hitler the entire time, and he was initially very angry about this. But they had him test fire it, and he was very impressed. He ordered it into production that same year, and in December of 1943, he named it the Sturmgewehr.
A prototype of the STG-44 helped German soldiers hold off the Red Army in Russia during World War II. But it wasn't deployed in large numbers until the end of the war. Some historians believe that if the rifle had appeared earlier, the Germans might have defeated Russia and changed the course of history. The Sturmgewehr, it didn't just appear out of thin air.
No, of course not. Actually, we have over here 2 weapons that led to the development of the Sturmgewehr. The first of which was the Mauser 98K rifle. That was the standard issue weapon for the German infantrymen. High velocity, very accurate, but it is heavy. It has a 5-round internal magazine.
And it's bolt action.
Exactly, it's quite slow. If you come up against entire units armed with submachine guns, you're not going to have a very good chance with this kind of weapon. Subsequently, they developed the Gewehr 43. It is lighter than the 98K, and it has a 10-round clip, and it is semi-automatic. So you can have a fighting chance if you're, in an urban environment and going around squeezing off round after round. The problem with the Gewehr 43 was that it was mechanically very complicated and jammed actually quite frequently.
Which of course led to the development of the world's first true assault rifle.
Correct.
Early German versions of a one-man machine gun failed because the powerful 8x57 round produced uncontrollable recoil during automatic fire. Designers solved that problem with a round halfway between a rifle cartridge and pistol ammunition. The STG-44 fires a 7.92 by 33 millimeter cartridge, said to maintain precision in full automatic mode. To see how big and advanced the STG is, we're going to test it against these other German rifles. Are you ready?
Let's go do some shooting.
Let's make it happen.
All right.
All right, Zan, we've set up 6 targets downrange. The top 3 are yours. You're going to engage from the left to the right.
Okay.
All right. First up, the Mauser 98K. The change from bolt action to full auto fire took place over the course of 50 years. While these early rifles are very accurate, their length and weight make them unwieldy for many combat situations. On to the Gewehr 43.
Way low and left.
Well, that was terrible.
The move from bolt action to semi-automatic allowed soldiers in the field to maintain their aim while getting off several shots. But these early versions were prone to malfunctions.
Another reason Germany lost.
And finally, the STG-44. The rugged, compact design of the STG-44 was a breakthrough in weapons development. There it is. That's a hit. Great shooting, man. Good job. It represents the birth of the assault rifle. Let's take a look at what we got.
All right, the first is the K98 bolt-action rifle.
I found that weapon is really heavy.
Yeah.
Which makes that front sight want to dip down. And you got a low shot here. I was trying to overcompensate on my front shot. And then, you know, we both came in and dinged the target, made adjustments on the fly. It's really nice. Next weapon.
Gewehr 43, a G43.
An equally heavy weapon system to the bolt action.
I found so, yes.
Okay.
And, you know, I got to say it was actually a relief to get to the Sturmgewehr. It felt like it had a much smoother action to it.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. The one problem that I did notice with this is that it's got a sight that is about 3 inches above the barrel. We can see the point of aim and point of impact problem demonstrated right here. You're aiming here, but your round's hitting down here. I think once you made that adjustment, your round's impacting here. And then I was just teasing the target for a while before I actually dinged it. It looks like 1, 2, 3 times.
I can imagine being a soldier and being in a combat situation. You definitely don't want to have a rifle that's heavy and difficult to aim.
It's basically an evolution from, you know, this bolt-action weapon all the way up to the Sturmgewehr. But just how devastating is the first assault rifle? Okay, to test the effectiveness of the STG-44, we've got a mock-up street. I'm gonna engage targets at each station and on the move, finishing at a motorized torso target. I have to hit that target before it hides behind that wall over there. What's this called again?
Sturmgewehr 44.
That's just fun to say. You got the time?
I do.
All right, let's do it.
Rock and roll. Ready.
Going hot.
Go!
With this new breed of weapon, soldiers could lay down a full magazine of automatic suppressive fire in seconds. It's quick and easy to reload, and switching back to semi-automatic mode gives you the precision you need in a rifle. The intermediate cartridge maintains the power of a rifle up to 300 yards. One final target, and this test is done.
Nice shooting, Will.
Check it out. Clear weapon. Thanks.
Okay. I think you
Nice.
got him.
This is an effective weapon. Because the round's so short,
Yeah, they are
the
quite small.
recoil is nice and short as well, which makes it easy to control any kind of muzzle flip or anything like that. You can reassess your targets very easily, and it worked out real well. So typically, where would this weapon be employed?
When the Germans invaded Russia, what they noticed was that they were up against entire Russian units that were all outfitted with a PPSH, which had a 70-round drum and fired, you know, 800 rounds a minute, and it was very easy to maintain. And you go up against that with bolt-action rifles, you're dead.
So what you have is a necessity-based evolution into an automatic weapon.
Exactly right.
The STG-44 struck fear into all those who faced it. And we still feel its impact today. Once the Russians saw the STG, they raced to develop their own assault rifle. This effort ultimately resulted in Kalashnikov's groundbreaking AK-47 design. That, in turn, forced America to join the arms race with an assault rifle of its own. When American troops went into Vietnam in the early 1960s, they carried a rifle called the M14. I've brought in a 20-year Navy veteran to show us how it works. Former Navy SEAL Rob Roy is an expert on powerful weapons like this one.
Because it's been around since 1960, it's a really effective weapon that people like to have. It's, you know, a 7.62, and if someone's running from you, I call it a zombie killer.
Great shooting. You've been well trained.
As you can see,
The M14 was the U.S. military's first attempt at an assault rifle. Is that correct?
that is correct. It replaced the M1 Garand.
And from muzzle to buttstock, what's different about this weapon?
Well, there's a few features that are different that make it great. We start off with here is a lot longer barrel, allows you to reach out and touch someone at about 800 meters.
Like the AK-47, the M14 is gas-operated and fires from the closed-bolt position, but it uses the NATO 7.62 standard rifle ammunition. Each bullet is about 2 inches long, giving the M14 greater range and penetrating power.
The second thing you have on here is a new gas piston in here. It allows you to shoot fully automatic with it. That's a big thing for the U.S. forces. They wanted a fully automatic weapon.
Well, because if you have full automatic capability throughout your squad, one guy can suppress the target while one guy moves, and then full auto and another guy moves, if needed.
Right. The cool thing about this is that it carries more rounds than the Garand did. This carries 20 rounds. For this particular weapon, it's quick reload. You just pull the box magazine out, boom, jam it in there, and you're on it.
Nice. And what about the weight of this entire weapon system? What are we looking at?
And this is wood. You know, just like the AK, it's built from materials they had during that time frame. This weapon system itself, with the magazine, it weighs about 11 pounds.
The M14 was the standard issue rifle for American soldiers at the start of the Vietnam War, where it went head-to-head against the AK-47. The M14 was accurate, but some felt its length and weight was not suited for jungle combat. But the M14's story doesn't end there. Today's version has been upgraded with 21st century technology.
This is called the SOCOM 16.
Okay.
This little baby is new and improved M14. They're pretty much the same weapon with new technology.
Perhaps the most important advance is the sighting system. Earlier rifles have iron sights. A metal post or fin sits on the muzzle, and a small notched metal plate sits on the breech. When the two line up, the weapon is aimed. Iron sights aren't known for precision. Modern weapons like Rob Roy's high-speed M14 use optics for accurate target acquisition. Let's talk about what it's constructed of, the actual materials. Now here, I've got a wood stock all the way through.
Right, and this one here is a man-made material. And what it allows you to do is take off weight. Even though I have a lot of attachments on it, it's still about a pound lighter than this particular weapon.
Right.
The shorter barrel allows me to go into rooms and clear rooms with it. Now, is it the perfect CQB weapon? Depends who's holding it.
Well, I've set up a little challenge for us.
Okay.
Okay? You're gonna use your M14. I'm gonna use this AK. All right, I'm gonna be using iron sights. You got the loopholed scope. I'm firing 7.62 by 39. You've got 7.62 by 51.
Right, and you got 30 rounds and I have 20.
I think the advantage is all me.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay, Rob, so what I've come up with now is a simulated combat scenario. We're gonna be firing from this foxhole position, shooting moving targets, as you can see, all right? They're coconuts on a string. I'm gonna be using the AK-47. You're gonna use the updated version of the M14. See how we do.
All right, it's gonna be difficult, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right. All right, you ready? Way more high speed than I would.
Yeah.
All right, logging and loading. Going hot. Hot, gotcha. All right. That one hit?
Yeah, you're in there.
All right.
You're punching a hole through it, but it's not dropping.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Hard to pick that up with those iron sights.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like I'm on. Ah, that's it.
Well, it's those short rounds, man.
Yeah. So, how many hits was that?
I think you got a couple of hits out of that.
Just 2 hits?
Yeah.
I'm pretty disappointed.
Right.
Overall, but I mean, 2 hits out of 30 rounds, not
Yeah.
my best performance. So let's see what you got.
All right. Well,
All right.
Little bit of an upgrade.
All right.
Got the got a 2-power scope on it. We'll see what I can do. You know? The only
The
thing
scope
is,
doesn't help at all.
lock and load it.
All right, fire when ready.
Yeah, they are moving pretty good.
Oh yeah, there's a hit. Good to go. All right, there's 2 on the ground right there. Hit them. Nice, nice. Well done.
Good.
Jeez. Dude, 5 rounds, 5 hits. I think I hate you.
It's all the optics, man.
You think it had something to do with knockdown power? Because I noticed your coconuts exploded and mine
Yeah.
just kind of, you know, weren't into it.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with the round. You know,
Nice.
it's kind of like a 45 round versus a 9mm.
So you had a lot more energy behind your
Right.
round. Just blew that coconut apart.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was beautiful.
Well.
And ugly at the same time. I'll take ugly. You can be beautiful. But great job. What do you say we claw our way out of here?
All right, let's do it.
Because the original M14 fired such a heavy cartridge, U.S. soldiers couldn't carry enough ammo to match the AK-47 round for round. The U.S. Army needed a more portable rifle for its troops. In 1963, they began phasing in a new one, the M16. Based on the Armalite AR-15, the original M16 is gas-operated and features selective fire, semi-automatic or fully automatic. This is later modified to allow for a 3-round burst. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the differences between these two weapon systems. Unlike the AK-47, the M16 is not constructed of steel and wood. It's actually lightweight aluminum and plastic.
Plastic, that sounds like a dirty word when you say it, but what they did was they wanted to make it as light as possible for the troops that were actually going to combat.
Right, and it makes it about 3 pounds lighter than the AK, which doesn't seem like much, but over time and distance, that stuff adds up. So I noticed that this one has a knob on the side of it, right here on the right side, also known as a brass deflector.
So yeah, this has a deflector that stops a round or brass from hitting the person in the face. So I can shoot it left-handed or shoot it right-handed, no problem at all.
To test the accuracy of the M16, we're going to put it through a night fire exercise. Okay, down here, we've got some strobe lights set up. Imagine that you're a soldier in the jungles of Vietnam and the only thing that you can see are the enemy muzzle flashes. Can you engage the bad guys before they displace to another position?
There's like 10, 15 of those targets down there.
Well, there's 2 of us, 10 of them.
Okay.
I think it's equal.
From the foxhole. All right, man.
All right.
Let's do it.
We'll have 20 seconds to take them all out. Ready?
Yep. Rock and roll.
3, 2, 1, engage. Nice, nice.
Bad guys are all gone?
Well, hot diggity dog,
There
dude.
you go, dude.
You know, once that dust kicked up, it actually got a lot easier, I felt like.
We could focus on the target just to lighten out all the stuff in the background. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
that's what they did over, in Vietnam in those areas.
Yeah. I mean, this is a perfectly capable weapon system, even in low light like we have right now.
I'll tell you, the 16-inch barrel and this long sight alignment here is what made a difference tonight.
One of the great things about this weapon system is that in nearly 50 years, it hasn't really changed that much, and it's still in use today, man.
Yeah.
Since coming on the scene in 1957, the M16 has seen action in all corners of the globe. One battle that took place in Somalia in 1993 has become famous for the Black Hawk Down incident. Army Rangers head into Mogadishu to capture the lieutenants of a Somali warlord. But the operation turns into a rescue mission after a rocket-propelled grenade knocks down one of the Black Hawk helicopters. During the close-quarters battle, the M16 is the Rangers' primary rifle. Although the Rangers ultimately outperform AK-wielding fighters, the mission reveals a need for an even more effective rifle. For years, any grunt who joined the Army learned to disassemble, clean, reassemble, and engage with the M16 assault rifle. But as a former Army Ranger and Air Force pararescueman, I carried the more compact version known as the M4 carbine. Few have relied more on the M4 than members of SEAL Team 6, including Tony Rapinski, who served as a dev group operator.
The M4 replaced the M16. It's still a 5.56 round, but now you have the ability to add sights and optics and lasers to it. It's a very, very stable platform.
You've obviously got some skill with that thing, but in your personal opinion, what makes the M4 better than the M16A2?
Well, the first thing you'll notice with these two weapon systems is this one is actually a lot smaller than the M16. This allows you to go in tighter environments, vehicles, buildings. The next thing you'll notice is the rail system, allowing you to use different kinds of scope systems. Primarily, we use the holographic EOTech scope, but we also have ACOGs, aim points, and other various scopes that go with this.
So the lower receiver is almost identical. Actually, as a matter of fact, it is identical.
It is. The lower receiver, there's really no changes.
And in terms of the internal mechanisms of the weapon, such as the bolt carrier group, the gas tube, that's all identical as well.
Exactly, all identical.
Okay, now, that weapon's a lot sexier than this one. Do you want to trade?
I don't think so.
Come on, dude, I'm the host. With a muzzle velocity of around 2,800 feet per second, semi-automatic fire gives you control and accuracy up to 600 yards. But when you need to suppress a concealed position, M4s clear the grass with up to 750 5.56 rounds every minute. In battle zones like Afghanistan, the M4 has proven its dependability under fire. Even with a full magazine of 30 rounds, its weight is only around 7 pounds. This, along with its adjustable stock, makes it easy to maneuver in tight quarters. But does the M4 outperform the AK-47? Tony and I are about to find out with a shoot and move test similar to what special operators might go through in a tactical weapons course. You're going to be moving left, right, and backwards on this range. When I say fire, take a firing position of your choice, engage a target of your choice. You're going to have 30 rounds, 30 targets. Now, because you're an M4 expert, I'm going to take you a little outside your comfort zone and have you fire the AK. I'm going to use the M4. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right. Ready? Moving right. Engage. Engage. There you go. Move left. Fire. Fire. To the rear. Fire. Moving right. Fire. Again, fire. Move to the rear. Finish them off. All right, man. Not bad. All but 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 targets. So 22 out of 30. I mean, that's pretty good shooting. What do you think of that weapon system compared to the M4?
Well, I'll tell you this, it's definitely not as accurate.
Okay.
So I kind of expect you to hit all of them this time with that weapon system.
Yeah.
All right. Move right. Engage. Engage. Move back. Engage. Engage. Back. Engage. Left. Engage. Move right. All right, unload. Ah! Just one.
Just one?
Just one.
I think some of those bottles were knocked down by their buddy who was exploding, but...
It works. It works.
All right. Nice. Great test, man. I like the accuracy of this, obviously, on the move. Iron sights is always a lot harder nowadays with the M4 and the Picatinny rail system. You can throw that EOTech or an aim point on there, be a lot more accurate.
Yep.
Good weapon system. Good test?
Good.
All right, awesome. The M4 system has inspired several variations, including the Heckler & Koch 416, one of the new breed of modern assault rifles. It's compact, lightweight, and packs a lot of punch. Like other assault rifles, the HK 416 is gas-operated, but it restricts the gas to a tiny forward section of the barrel. The force of the gas kicks back a piston rod that ejects the shell and loads up the next round. Tony and I will see if the HK 416's advanced scope feather trigger and minimal recoil help us lock on targets the size of a human heart at 50 yards. You're going to engage those targets as I call out a color. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, good to go. Ready to fire, Tony?
Yep.
Yellow. White. There you go, red. Brown. Blue. There you go. That's great, man. You got good hits all the way around. That yellow one just went everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, great test. All right, I want to give it a go.
Go for it.
All right. You just call them out.
Got you.
I'll engage them.
Red. There you go. White. You got it. Yellow. Perfect. Now take down the white one. Nice. Perfect. Brown. Nice. Blue.
That's it. Clear. Safe.
Good work.
Nice. All right, that's pretty awesome. So with the HK-416, it's a very accurate weapon, but because it's got a selective fire switch on it, you could go from firing single shots to burst or full automatic fire to suppress a target. There's a lot of bad business coming out of the end of that barrel. Awesome. Despite the advances offered by the 416 and the M4, the AK-47 is still very much in the fight. We've been on a whirlwind tour of assault rifles, from the earliest prototypes to the combat-proven weapon systems of today. We kicked off this trip with the M1 Garand. Its 8-round clip and semi-auto action were a vast improvement over earlier bolt-action rifles. But it was still too long and heavy for modern close-quarters combat. So during the Second World War, the Germans actually came up with the world's first assault rifle, the STG-44. The weapon was not produced in mass numbers until 1944, but it still almost turned the tide in favor of the Third Reich. The characteristics of the assault weapon gradually came into focus. It was short, lightweight, its ammunition was housed in a detachable magazine that made it easy to load, and you could select the rate of fire from semi to fully automatic. The world's most popular assault rifle, the Russian AK-47, arrived on the battlefield over 50 years ago and is still being used today. The American military responded to its development with a series of selective fire rifles, from the first M14 to the shorter and lighter M16, and then even smaller close-quarters weapons like the HK-416. Now, back when I was in uniform, we carried the M4 carbine. It's one of the preferred weapon system for special operations. As an Air Force pararescueman, I carried the M4 to deal with any situation in a still fluid tactical environment. To get a little help with this next challenge, I've recruited our AK-47 expert, Dmitry Marinov. Now, you know the AK inside and out.
Oh, yes, I do. As we say in old country, bьет пулемет неутомим. The unstoppable AK-47 shooting.
Okay, we're gonna see if you can make the M4 sing, because we're using this in the next challenge. But first, I gotta show you how it works.
I'm very excited.
Let's do it.
Давай.
So, right off the bat, this is your bolt catch here. You see it on the backside of your weapon? Go ahead and hook this thing with your fingers, pull the bolt to the rear, push on the bolt catch, there you go. Now your bolt's locked back to the rear. All right, grab your magazine, place the magazine in the magazine well, press the bolt catch right there. Now you have a round in the chamber. Now that's the business end. Buttstock goes in the shoulder, just like the AK. Make it happen, Captain. Dmitry is firing simunition, a bullet replacement we'll be using in our next test. These non-lethal rounds can be fired through the actual weapon and simulate the accuracy and rate of fire of the weapon system. These rounds are normally only available to military and law enforcement personnel for training. They leave a visible mark on impact. In this final test, Dmitry and I must fight our way through a combat zone against enemies armed with the AK-47. Our goal is the LZ extraction zone on the far side of the start point. Both sides will be armed with simunition, and for today's test, 2 hits equals a kill. In terms of this particular test, the one thing that I felt we had to watch out for with the AK was its high rate of fire and high magazine capacity. Armed with M4s and 60 rounds between us, Demeter and I may be outnumbered, but we're not outgunned. The key to gain an advantage in any situation is to use suppressive fire, keep the enemy's head down, then close with and destroy. Demeter was able to flank around to the sides as I suppressed the targets. Exposing yourself. Sometimes that's a chance you take when you're the #1 guy. And then we started in that leapfrog technique.
Moving.
This is the moment when all of a sudden you realize, I can get hit. All of a sudden, everything turns into real deal.
It takes 2 hits to take a man out. Fortunately, I think the M4 is the more precise weapon. The ATV guy came in. He didn't have a weapon system that he could use effectively. At best, he could have tried to use the ATV itself as a weapon. Now we got into some Connex boxes. It's almost a CQB type environment where you're dealing with hallways, tight spaces, unknown areas.
Got hit?
Yeah, one more and I'm out. You have to move to points of domination in order to control the flow of the battle. I engaged the target in between the 2 Connex boxes, and the target was still kind of whining and screaming, so you always throw a round in that guy. He can still be a threat. I knew that there was just a small open area that we had to cover to get to the LZ.
I'll go low, you go high. Around the corner. You come high, I'll go low.
I pied that corner. I was low on a knee. Demeter pushed it out just past me, and of course, targets did pop up. I provided suppressive fire. We moved up, closed that distance, destroyed the targets, made it home free. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've still got 5 rounds left. Demeter never changed magazines either, so the M4 matched the AK-47's firepower with greater accuracy.
After all that, what do you think of the M4 carbine compared to the AK-47?
Well, to be honest with you, Will, comparing the Cadillac to the Yugo.
Nice. So you like it then?
I
Or
love
do you
it.
prefer to drive a Yugo?
Well, depends on the situation.
I got you.
But still, the AK is a great gun.
Yeah, it is a very functional weapon. This works great for us, and good job, man. We took out the bad guys.
We did it
All right. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you very much.
without you either.
Personal preferences aside, the AK-47 is the poster gun for assault rifles. This legendary weapon can be found virtually anywhere on the planet. And it's likely to be a force to be reckoned with decades into the future. I'm Will Willis. Locked and cleared. I'll see you next time on the range.